Welcome back to Headlines. I'm Wes Austin, and these are today's top stories. First, a federal appeals court blocked an Obama-appointed judge's order that forced taxpayer funding for Planned Parenthood. I guess the appeals court thought that taxpayers are already funding enough bad decisions. Then, Stephen Colbert used his Emmy speech to warn America that we're losing our country. You know, after last week with what happened to Charlie Kirk, you'd think in his acceptance speech he would have said, "Stay calm, be rational." But nope, we've got the video clip. Next, Democrat echo chamber Jasmine Crockett went on MSNBC and claimed committing crimes doesn't necessarily make you a criminal, and enforcing immigration law is exactly like slavery. Just like how hall monitors are basically the Gestapo and crossing guards are running internment camps. The historical parallels are really something. You've got to see them. And finally, Bill Maher blasted the left for shrugging off the assassination of Charlie Kirk, saying there, "What's wrong with this country?" He really ripped the libs a new one. You've got to see the clip. And then we go to the comment section. We're going to be looking at a comment on the Stephen King segment that we did. The question is, was Stephen King so strung out on being an addict that he doesn't remember writing some of his books? Okay, let's dive in. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the First Circuit blocked a district court's order from an Obama judge that required taxpayer funding for Planned Parenthood. The appeals court basically said, taxpayers shouldn't pay for your mistakes. Try OnlyFans like everybody else. The three-judge panel, each appointed by Biden, allowed a congressionally approved measure cutting off Medicaid funds to Planned Parenthood to take effect while litigation continues. Planned Parenthood got blocked by Biden judges. That's like Bernie Sanders saying that taxes are too high. The ruling puts on hold two preliminary injunctions issued in July by U.S. District Judge Indira Talwani blocking the defunding measure. Judge Talwani was appointed by Obama in 2013. She just had 3 Biden judges all agree she was wrong. Judge Talwani just achieved the legal equivalent of being too liberal for a Hollywood writer's room. But in her defense, the legislation was really long and it had a lot of big words. At the Emmy Awards last night, Stephen Colbert received an Emmy for Worst Case of TDS in a Talk Show Host. In his acceptance speech, he suggested that we're losing our country.
Sometimes you only truly know how much you love something when you get a sense that you might be losing it. And 10 years later, in September of 2025, my friends, I have never loved my country more desperately. God bless America. Stay strong, be brave, and if the elevator tries to bring you down, go crazy and punch a higher floor. Woo!
Colbert says that we're losing our country and uses the words, "go crazy." Perfect, Stephen, because what America really needs right now is more unhinged leftists with a hero complex and access to firearms. On MSNBC, Jasmine Crockett, the unofficial mouth of the Democrats, compared ICE to slave patrols. But before that, Jem, she seemed to say that committing crimes doesn't make you a criminal.
Just because there is crime taking place does not necessarily mean that it is a criminal. There is a difference. There are people that literally are engaging in crime out of necessity.
By Crockett's logic, if you rob a bank to pay bills, you're not a criminal. You're basically a financial advisor with a ski mask. But Jasmine's hot takes didn't stop there. Listen to how she compared ICE to slave patrols.
But as somebody who understands history, when I see ICE, I see slave patrols. Now, I never lived through the slave patrol period, but if you know the history of policing in this country, then you understand that they were born out of slave patrols.
ICE are slave patrols? Now that's funny. I don't remember runaway slaves breaking into the country to get back to the plantation. I guess I missed that chapter. But Jasmine understands history, the same way that Kamala Harris understands what a sentence is. On his podcast, Bill Maher ripped on leftists who don't care about the murder of Charlie Kirk, saying there, "What's wrong with this country?"
I might drink a little more than usual today because, I mean, I don't know when this is airing, but this is a day because a guy who sat there, Charlie Kirk, got shot today.
Yeah.
And I can't stop thinking about it.
Neither can I.
And we shouldn't. And if you're on the other side of the political divide and you don't care because the wrong team guy got shot, f*** you. You're what's wrong with this country.
Bill admitted he couldn't stop thinking about Kirk's murder, which means the total number of liberals with a functioning conscience comes to at least one. In other news, last night in Hollywood, a new award was given for outstanding performance pretending an election didn't happen. And the winner was everyone at the Emmys. Just a little note about that last segment. On X today, Bill Burr was trending, and it was actually this video clip that it was pointing to. So I think a bunch of people thought that that guy was Bill Burr, which he isn't. Anyway, just a funny little side note. And now onto the comment section. So before we get started, I had mentioned Oreo cookies in a story that I told last week. And a lot of you gave me all sorts of Oreo recommendations, which I really appreciated. It made me really hungry, but you were recommending, I think, lemon Oreos, and somebody said there are triple stuffed Oreos, which I swear to you I've not heard of. I know there's double stuffed. I swear I've never heard of triple stuffed. Anyway, thank you for all the Oreo suggestions. I'm gonna see if I can hit the Oreo section this week. Okay. Then on the segment, we had a segment where we talked about the Dollar Tree not actually costing $1 anymore. This was one comment that we got that I thought was funny. Mom says, not today. She said this, in Canada, it is now referred to the $10 tree store. We do have a number of people in our community who are from Canada. I see DMs and messages from them. So. All right, and then on the segment that we did about government credit cards, the Senate had introduced a bill to actually cancel the credit cards of all these people who didn't work for the government anymore. This comment is from Walter Rao. You guys, that same car, did you hear it again? It happened the last time we filmed, and I mentioned, and a number of you said, yeah, I heard the car that went by. That's the same one. He works down the street. He really needs to cooperate. Anyway, so back to the comment from Walter Rao, 3724, about the government credit cards. OnlyFans would probably not survive without government credit card and debit cards. Just asking for a friend. You know, I would not be surprised, really, because in the story, we talked about how there were a bunch of transactions at ATMs at casinos, bars, and nightclubs. And so I bet you that if somebody ran a government card when there was an OnlyFans charge on it, it probably would go through. I'm not recommending that anyone do that if you have a government credit card anyway. Okay, then on the segment we did about the magistrate judge who released the guy that stabbed this was in Charlotte, that terrible stabbing that took place. So this is from Diane Lips. She said, she looks like they made her a judge because she was good at calling out bingo numbers. Okay, and then this is from Chris LJ, 2890. The judge makes me think of Forrest Whitaker in drag. And guess what? ChatGPT cooperated with me on trying to do this. So this is the picture of the magistrate judge that we have. And then here's Forrest Whitaker. I'm going to pop him up next to her. And ChatGPT cooperated, so I did put the hair from the magistrate onto Forrest Whitaker. They definitely look related, at least. That's a pretty good catch, Chris. So anyway, nice job. I didn't ask ChatGPT to put him in drag, so that's why he still has his suit on. I guess I should have seen what would have happened. Okay, and then on the Stephen King segment that we did where Stephen King said that, I think he said that Charlie Kirk had said to stone gays or something insane that was not true. So on that segment that we did, and then Stephen King apologized after that and deleted it. We have this comment from Russell LB 4510. It was not remorse. Stephen King got a call from his lawyer, which I can just imagine, because that was not true, and so many people called him out on it that I'm sure he probably was looking at, I don't want anybody to sue me, so I need to yank this thing off. Of course, if his lawyer was billing by the hour, he probably would have called and said, Stephen, I love what you posted. I think you should post a lot more like that, because I would like to bill you, through oblivion, just as much money as I get. So, all right, then this is the more substantive comment from I Am To The Walrus. Posted this. Stephen is an admitted severe drug addict who confesses to have written books so juiced up he doesn't remember writing them. And I wanted to see if this was actually true, because I had heard that he had had some addiction issues, some serious ones before, but I hadn't heard about that he had written books where he couldn't remember writing them. So I actually found this in, and there were several references to this story, but this was from this outlet called Far Out. I'm not a regular reader, so I don't know, but this is Stephen King on why he has no recollection of writing Cujo. So I'll just read this snippet. This addiction seriously affected King throughout the remainder of the decade up until the early 1980s, when his friends and family would stage an intervention confronting him about his problem. As detailed in his 2000 memoir on writing, the writer barely remembers writing his 1981 novel, Cujo. It was a frightening admittance that led those close to him to highlight his addictions, presenting him with everything from cigarette butts and beer cans to cocaine, Valium, and mouthwash. So I think that is true, that he actually doesn't, based on this, that he doesn't remember writing at least Cujo, which he must have been really pretty blitzed out of his mind. Thanks for watching Headlines. I'm Wes Austin. Good night.